All right, so last lesson we ended up talking about the layers of bones. We'll pick back up by looking at the Haversian unit, which is that osteonic canal surrounded by layers of bones called lamellae. Inside the canal, you'll find blood vessels that run through the bone, carrying oxygen and nutrients to bone cells. There's 3 types of bone cells: osteoclasts, osteoblasts, and osteocytes. Osteoblasts are the bone builders. They take calcium from blood and turn it into bone, either when we're growing or when we break a bone and need to repair it. Osteoclasts are bone killers. They destroy old and damaged bone and make space for the osteoblasts to come in and build new bone. Both cells live on the outside part of that Haversian unit. Osteocytes are mature bone cells that get stuck in between the layers of bone, and that space is called a lacunae. Their job is to act as either an osteoclast or an osteoblast, depending on what's needed. So they can kind of do both. All right, so a little baby's born, and obviously this baby's going to get bigger, which means their bones are going to need to grow to keep up. So when babies are bones, the ends of their bones, that epiphysis, is mostly cartilage. Remember from a couple of lessons ago, cartilage is that gristle-like matrix. It's a connective tissue. Cartilage is different from bones in a few ways. And one way is that it doesn't have very many blood vessels going to it, not like bone does. So it grows much slower than bone does. And that's why tendons and ligament injuries, like if you pull a tendon or strain something, they heal so much slowly. They just don't have a lot of blood flow. So as the baby begins to grow, the blood vessels in the diaphysis start working their way up to the epiphysis, and they carry osteocytes with them. And that's going to start turning that cartilage into bone tissue. This process is called endochondral ossification. As more cartilage converts into bone, the child's bones will grow longer and bigger, causing the child to grow. There's a gap of cartilage between the diaphysis and the epiphysis in young children, and that's called the epiphyseal plate. This will eventually turn into solid bone, which we'll call the epiphyseal line, and that happens when the child finishes growing. Injury to that area during childhood can cause issues and even stunt the growth of that extremity. Another thing that will change as children's bones mature is the marrow. Initially, all bones are filled with red bone marrow, which is filled with these stem cells to help us generate new blood cells. And that process is called hemopoiesis. As we age, the red marrow will fill up with fat and become yellow marrow. Now its primary use is to help create new bone cells, as well as a storage place for fats. In severe emergencies, like if we were bleeding out or like from a car accident, the body can convert that yellow marrow back into red marrow. As an adult, all of the red marrow in long bones will be replaced by yellow marrow. And instead, red marrow can be found in the hips, ribs, sternum, parts of the skull, and the epiphysis of the humerus and femur.